Alright, so 14, you got to factor by grouping. You need to first group it. So the first two terms and the last two terms are a group. You don't have this one yet?
Yeah, no.
Alright, so the first group, what we're doing is we're splitting it up so that we can find the greatest common factor of the first group and then the greatest common factor of the second group. And what happens is some cubics have this really neat thing that works out, and it makes them easy to factor. Okay, so this is one that's actually easy to factor if you know the rule. You don't have to do as many of the steps like synthetic division or long division. So you have two numbers here, 8 and 12. So what is the biggest number that those are both divisible by? 6. So we take out a 6. Then you have v cubed and v squared, and they both have a v squared. So we can take out a v squared. Okay, and what's left over is what goes in here. So 6 times 3 is 18, and v squared times v is v cubed. Okay. And then 6 times negative 2 is negative 12, and v squared is v squared, so we don't have to multiply by anything else. Alright, so that only applies to the stuff in the red. All the red stuff goes together. We haven't done anything for the blue yet. But if something factors by grouping, then whatever's in parentheses here will also be in what's in the parentheses over here. So if we take out the greatest common factor from our second group, we should get a 3v minus 2 if it factors by grouping. Okay, so 3v times what is negative 3v? Negative 1. And then we'll check the other one. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2, so it does factor by grouping. All right, so both of our groups had a factor. Now they have a greatest common factor of their own. Okay, so each group, we took out the greatest common factor, and what was left behind was the same for both of them. So that means we can take it out from both sets. The 3v minus 2, we can take it out front because both of them have it. We're just factoring out that whole thing. And everything that's left behind gets its own set of parentheses. Okay. So look what happens if we were to distribute this whole thing. 3v minus 2 is being multiplied by 6v squared. That's what's happening here. 6v squared times 3v minus 2. And 3v minus 2 is also being multiplied by negative 1. And that's what we see here. Negative 1 times 3v minus 2. So now it's been factored by grouping, but it's not solved. The solving part is to find the actual times what values of v will make it equal to 0. So we set each one of our factors equal to 0 and solve both of them. So we'll add 2 to both sides, and we get 3v equals 2. Then we divide by 3, we get v equals 2/3. Then over here we add 1 to both sides. 6v squared equals 1. Divide by 6. v squared equals 1/6. Take the square root of both sides, you get v equals, remember the square root has two solutions in it, the positive and negative square root of 1/6. Okay, and we can use that as an answer, and v equals 2/3. So if I plug in the positive square root of 1/6, or the negative square root of 1/6, or 2/3 in for v, I'm going to make that whole function equal 0. That's where it crosses the x-axis, all three of those places.